Today is all about the hips, and so therefore by definition also activating the feet, the Pada Bandha that we've talked about in previous lessons. So we're going to start off with Sukhasana, a simple leg cross, but it's never particularly simple. Watch whether you need a support under the bottom. I've talked about this before. If we have too much of a retroversion, it tends to sink down the chest. This is easily resolvable with just support of some kind. You might need something higher, you might need something lower, but the important thing is to have the hips neutral. And then from there, the hips are weighting down to the ground while the solar plexus moves up in the other direction. Now I've got my left leg in front, so maybe it's a good idea to start off there. So we're doing the same thing together. And then let's go back to activating the feet. So in the first instance, separate all the toes. And we're wanting a flexed foot, so not a pointed foot, a flexed foot. And feel that by this work in the feet, we can really start to access those hips, which in turn create a wonderful support for the spine. And we're just going to spend a moment in this Sukhasana, feeling that the more we remain in this position, the more the hips are able to sink down into the ground and the spine moves in the opposite direction. The hips are permanently working. There should not be one instance where you're not feeling the support and the activity of the hips. And then we can stretch our legs out and change the cross of the legs. This is really, really important. You should never favor one side, but you should treat both sides. So now it's the right leg in front. Activate the feet. Always separate the toes. That's a really good way of simply getting that flexed foot into action. Feel the reaction as regards the hips, and then feel that the hips give that support to the whole of the spine, which in turn is able to soar up towards the ceiling. Watch the breathing. For some of us, this is really, really difficult. The knees are really high. There's so much stretch happening in the hips. So as I say, that's when you go back to support your body with something under your bottom as much as you can. If the knees are giving grief, then I wouldn't do a 90 degrees angle between the tibia and the femur. I would possibly just bring out the feet a little bit more and have a really, really lengthened Sukhasana. And then you can straighten out your legs just one more time. From there, we're going to do Sukhasana, but Supta Sukhasana, so lying down. And again, if you need something for this position under the hips, then grab what you need. It could be something much lower, much higher, it's up to you. Let's start off, first of all, with the right leg in front of the left leg. So we're just going to cross the tibia again here. Separate the feet, the toes of the foot. And then you're going to have to lift your head, lift your hands. Grab hold of the outer part of the foot. Keep the feet really, really strong and flexed. Never give up that work in the feet. Separate the toes. And then on the next exhalation, you can think of lengthening the lower spine away from your body on the ground, while you lengthen the upper spine away in the other direction from your body, bringing your head down. At all times, the feet remain active. So again, we've got this dual directionality. So the hips are moving in one direction, and the shoulders, the chest, the solar plexus is moving in the other direction. So if you've got something under your pelvis when you're doing this, it's a good idea when you're struggling, because obviously this brings your feet and legs closer to your body and you're more able to easily reach your feet. Again, the important thing is to have the torso being supported by the ground. So really watch particularly the outer scapula, the outer shoulder blades, bring them down towards the ground. Now to come out, just lift your head, gently bring your legs parallel, and then change the cross of the legs. So here we've got now the left leg in front. Activate your feet again. You can take hold of the outer feet. Keep on activating the feet as you start to spread the whole length and the whole width of your torso down on the ground. And then go back a moment to the idea of the pelvis moving away from you in one direction, and the chest, the shoulders moving in the opposite direction. So you're really covering as much territory, thanks to your torso on the ground, as possible. Watch your breathing, keep it nice and open. And then you can lift your head, bring your legs parallel. Bring your feet down, bring your head down to the ground. If you've got something under your bottom, you'll need to lift your bottom off the ground to get that cushion or that yoga block or whatever it is you've got away from your pelvis. Then lift your head with your hands, come and sit up, and we go back into Sukhasana a second time. So right leg in front. And this time we really have got to imagine the presence of the floor underneath. So you'll notice that you cannot but have a straight back when you're on the ground. There's just no choice. So we need to instill that with love, obviously, but we need to instill that with love as we sit now in this exact same position. So continue to imagine this floor is exerting that kind of correcting pressure, if you like, against the back. So feel that sliding away, in this case down to the ground, of the pelvis. Well, again, you've got this sliding away of the chest and the shoulders in the opposite direction. Remember that even though the shoulders are being brought up by the spine, it's the flesh of the shoulders that come down. So you shouldn't be like this. The flesh itself of the body comes down, and it's the activity of the spine that really brings us lightness. Activate your feet, separate the toes. Really get in to the support that the pelvis is bringing you. If you don't know what to do with your hands, you can just rest the fronts of your hands on the thighs. And spend a moment or two feeling the strength of the torso and observing an unobstructed breathing. And then we can stretch our legs out. Other side. So again, go back to firstly activating the feet. So you've got this wonderful base for the whole of your torso. Imagine, visualize the correcting presence of the floor, even though you now don't have it. And then every inhalation and exhalation, feel that the pelvis is sinking down while the rest of the torso is just floating up towards the ceiling. And enjoy this eternal stretching. Watch your breathing again. Make it nice and soft and open. And then stretch out your legs again. And then from there, we're going to do the same thing. So we will have the correcting presence now of the floor as we do Sukhasana again. So again, if you need something under your pelvis, just go and grab it. Right leg in front, activate immediately the feet. Lift your head, grab the outer edges of the feet. And then on the next exhalation, as the head comes down, elongate that pelvis along the floor to get in touch with that eternal stretch of the torso. And this time it should be definitely easier, but feel that the torso, the spine, the muscles of the back just don't have to work as hard. So this is kind of nice if you're feeling tired or weak. You can get the full benefits of Sukhasana, particularly in the hip action, but this is very much supported by the floor underneath, and therefore you can get the benefits with less of the work. Lift your head, start to bring your legs parallel. Then recross the legs. This time it's the left leg in front. Grab the outer edges of the foot. Exhale and just come down. Feel the hips widening along the ground, the tailbone really growing away from you into almost a tail. And then at the other end of the torso, feel that chest moving towards the head and away from the pelvis. And lift your head. Bring your legs into parallel. Bring your legs down towards the ground. Head down. Take away the support from under your bottom if you have support. Lift your head with your hands. Come and sit up. And the last time we do Sukhasana, we're going to help with this idea of pelvis going down, torso coming up towards the ceiling. And we're going to do that by using the Urdhva Hastasana, where your arms are essentially parallel and over your head like so. This is kind of hot work, so I think let's get ready for it. We're back to the first side, right leg in front, get the feet active, feel the lower abdomen coming in, solar plexus moving up, feel the strength that is requested in your torso. Don't let up the work in your feet. Move your arms out to the side, palms up towards the ceiling. And then without leaning back or forward or doing strange things with your torso, just keep your torso really neutral as you bring your arms up towards the ceiling. Now you can kind of stop and start as you bring your arms further up to the ceiling. This is heavy duty work. You need time also to observe that you're not changing the torso in any way. So do take your time. And as you start and stop in moving towards Urdhva Hastasana, go inward to feel the breathing and feel that the breathing helps in weighting down the pelvis on the one hand while sweeping the spine up towards the ceiling on the other hand. Then when we bring our arms down, that does not give us permission to collapse the torso in any way. Okay? And then straighten your legs. Other side. Activate the feet. Feel how strong the hips are in supporting an equally strong torso. Go back to those 2 points of the abdomen area. Then when you're ready, hands in line with your shoulders, palms pointing up towards the ceiling. And then slowly, maybe in shifts, start to bring your hands up towards the ceiling. Don't change your torso. The classic is really to come back as you bring your arms up. We don't want that, it's pointless. Okay? Just be really, really disciplined with the torso. And if you don't bring your hands up the entire way, no one cares. So just enjoy. One side is always much more difficult than the other. And then on the next exhalation, as you bring your hands down, don't change your torso in any way. Lie down. Get the equipment that you need for under your pelvis. Right leg in front. We're not going to take our feet this time. We're simply going to bring our arms back behind us like so. Feel the presence of the upper buttocks on the ground. Activate your feet, by the way. And feel the presence of the upper scapula pressing down onto the ground. Make your feet and legs parallel. And then the other side, left leg in front. And then we come back to have our legs parallel. Bring our hands onto our belly, feet down onto the ground. Sigh out and feel. So the hips have essentially this external movement, but they also have a different kind of movement where you bring your thigh towards the chest. So it's an incredibly complicated joint, the hips. And absolute freedom is kind of difficult to get, but we try. Ekapada Supta Vajrasana. We lie down. Bend the legs. Lift up the right leg. I would say for now, just take it under the knee. Feel the presence of the torso on the ground. Again, the two directions that I permanently talk about. And then I'm going to straighten the left leg on the ground. Both sets of toes are pointing up to the ceiling, are separating. We have two very active, very flexed feet here. Now, as we stay in this position, we go back to feeling the upper buttocks pressing down on the ground and the upper scapula pressing down on the ground. If this is easy for you, you can remove your hands from under the knee and actually place them on top of the knee. And that allows you to bring the knee closer and closer towards the chest. We need to have hips both in line and feel that this action really allows the femur to enter deeply into the hip. And then you can just come out, spend a moment with both feet on the ground. And then we change sides. So firstly, taking hold of the back of the knee with both hands. And then sliding the right leg out until it's straight, feet flexed, toes pointing up to the ceiling. Now, if this is difficult and it is raising, for example, your chin into the air, or maybe your shoulders are off the ground, I would advise you to put something under your head because you're going to hurt your neck. The issue with that is simply that you need to get more stretch in the upper torso. That stretch allows your whole spine to move towards the head, and therefore you don't have that neck issue. So if you're still working on, shall we say, kind of tightness in the chest and a lack of space in the spine, support your head. You do not want to have a sore neck as you do this. If you don't have that problem, really focus on the four corners of the torso, so the two hips and the two shoulders, pressing down into the ground. From there, both feet come onto the floor, legs bent. Spend a moment there. And then with your hands, lift your head and come and sit up. Now we're going to do a type of Marichasana, which uses that bent leg and the thigh that comes towards the torso. It also uses this type of Dandasana here. So again, if you have too much of a retroversion, you will need to sit on a cover, a yoga block, something that can support the movement forward, and which we've talked about in previous lessons. So leaving the left leg where it is, feet very active, we can bend the right leg and bring that foot close. And spend a moment just feeling. And then bring it back out and do the other side. Now, if this kind of anteversion of the hips, or rather the anteversion movement of the hips is making life more difficult, and it certainly is for me, then again, support. Right side, much, much better. Spend a moment. Watch the right foot. The right foot should be symmetrical, so don't have the toes going out or inward. It's like train tracks. We really want a very nice parallel, symmetrical foot there. Release, other side. Remember to activate the right foot, toes separate, and then release again. Go back to the right side. Now this time, apart from having a symmetrical foot, the knee that goes over the kind of middle toes, I want to really think now about having the floor discipline correct my back. So lower abdomen comes in as I use my hands against the tibia to bring my chest forward and up. That's the solar plexus moving up towards the head. Shoulders are relaxed, they don't move up towards my ears. So you're going to feel an awful lot more entry of the femur into the hips when you focus on the torso. Okay, and then release. Other side. Establish your feet. And then when you're ready, press against the left tibia or shin, and then start to really feel the solar plexus moving up towards the head. The more you do that, the more you're going to feel the descent of the pelvis strongly into the ground if you're not using a support, or your support if you are using a support like me. And going back to the first side, just one last time. Check the symmetry. Check your hips as well. The hips should be parallel. And then when you want, exhale, start to move the tibia towards your chest. Feel how that activates even more so your hips. And then allow the solar plexus to move up towards your head. And back. Other side. Watch your breathing. And then back. Going back to Ekapada, Supta Vajrasana. Start off with both legs bent. Catch hold either of under the right knee or over the right knee as you prefer. So it's still the same movement with the bent leg as you straighten the other leg. Go back to appreciating the support of the floor and how it regulates the extension, this permanent extension of the torso. And notice as well that there's no room for a collapsed chest. And then bring your right foot down towards the ground. Bend both legs. Catch hold of the other knee. Exhale, extend the right leg. Both feet are active, separate the toes. And then focus on the entry of the femur into the hips. The four corners of the torso, coming down and rooting into the ground. And then bending both legs, feet on the ground. Lifting your head with your hands coming up and going back into this kind of Marichasana. So bend your right leg. Other foot is really, really active. Check the right foot is symmetrical. Then really think of the pelvis sinking down towards either your support or the floor as you move the chest up towards the ceiling. Bring the tibia, as we did the last time, for a moment towards your chest. And then let go, because I would like to bring our hands up one more time in Urdhva Hastasana. Now this is really, really hard. Most of us actually just start to collapse the back like that, losing the anti-version movement. Bring that anti-version movement in. Press down strongly with the heel of the left foot, with the whole foot of the right foot. And try to breathe. And then as you bring your arms down, don't collapse the back. Straighten both legs out a minute. Maybe just have a relax. That's quite strong. And then other side. So left leg bent. Right toes separated, pointed up to the ceiling. Left foot parallel. Grab hold of the left tibia. Bring it towards your chest as your chest moves forward, but above all, up. And then when you've got this established, try not to disturb the neutrality of your torso as you bring your hands into Urdhva Hastasana. And then you can bring your hands down into Dandasana a moment. The last part today is revisiting Sukhasana, so right leg in front, feet active. Put the hands behind you. Start to lean back, lovely retroversion. And then bring your head down, palms pointed up towards the ceiling. Still keep some gentle work going on in the hips, thanks to the movement in the feet. But otherwise, let go, but not without first revisiting those four corners of the torso, really strongly imprinted on the ground beneath. And then with your hands, you can support the thighs as you bring them one towards the other. Change the cross of your legs, so the left leg is in front now. And then go back into a Sukhasana. Keep on activating your feet. Remember, Sukhasana is crossing the tibia, not the ankles, so be very careful that the shins are being crossed. And then revisit your torso. And allow your body to relax, but not collapse. So feel the torso floating on top of the floor. And the floor continues to exert an opening presence on your torso. So observe how open the chest is, how extended and how long your torso is. And then with this perception, just enjoy.